Joining us now is attorney Joanne Molinaro. Let's start with those opening statements. How crucial are these really going to be as the jury sits there and is listening to them?
The opening statement is probably one of the most critical parts of any trial, particularly a trial of this nature. Remember that this jury, this is the first time they're getting to hear from the lawyers, and the lawyers are the ones who are shepherding the jury through this entire 10-week trial with all of the witnesses, with all of the stories that are coming out, all of the documents they're going to be required to look through in sifting through this evidence. And we're seeing that these opening statements are taking a long time.
Yeah.
The prosecutor has already been up there for almost an hour, perhaps longer.
Wow.
They're probably going to have to break for lunch before we hear from the defense.
Wow.
Interesting. Okay, another thing we're watching for, the prosecution could call up Combs' ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura. How key is her testimony in this case?
Cassie Ventura is likely to be heard from this afternoon, and there's a reason she's going to be among the first, if not the first witness that the prosecutor is going to put up. Part of that is because we know that this video that we just saw is something that the judge has said, yeah, we are going to let the jury see this. And that is one of the most powerful pieces of evidence that this jury is going to see.
Before we move on, how crucial is it as well? She's pregnant, so the defense has to be very careful as they cross-examine her.
The defense is going to have to be careful with not just Cassie, but with every woman victim that we're going to hear from in this trial. They know this, and they've been through this type of playbook before. On the other hand, the prosecutor is going to be relying on these witnesses to explain their story, to really do a good job of portraying the amount of violence that was going on in this enterprise. That word enterprise is so important. That was one of the first words that we heard out of the prosecutor's mouth this morning, is this was an enterprise. So this is not just isolated incidents of violence. This was something that went on for 2 decades.
Trying to show a pattern of
Exactly,
behavior.
exactly.
So during jury selection, you know, there was this list that came out of all these very notable celebrities. Are we going to hear from each of them? Do we know kind of how they play into this case? Any details?
You know, one of the things that the prosecution has done, I think very well in this case, is they've held a lot of things very, very close to the vest. And that's because they don't want to show their cards, not just to defense, but to the jury, to the public, to all of us who are kind of watching this every single day. And so it's a little bit unclear how this is all going to play out. One thing we did hear last week was that they are missing one of their crucial witnesses. There are potentially 4 witnesses that we were supposed to hear from, and they can't seem to find one of them. So that will also play out over the next several weeks.
Interesting. Okay, one of the headlines this morning is that Combs' mother and children are in the courtroom. They showed up early this morning. Will that impact the jury?
100%. Absolutely. The jury is going to notice everything from the kind of clothes that Combs is wearing, to who is sitting in the courtroom with him, to the kind of conversations and whisperings that are going on. All of that goes into the, sorry to say, the theatrics of a jury trial.
Well, that all plays into it.
Absolutely.
Joanne, thank you so much for being with us this morning.
It's a pleasure being here, ladies.
We appreciate your insight. All right, let's